Welcome back to Podslice Hub, where we transform powerful podcasts into unforgettable audiobook experiences. Today, we're diving into a candid conversation with Michelle Obama and her brother, Craig Robinson, from a YouTube episode titled, Michelle Obama, This is a Scam. People were running from us because we were black. This is a story of grit, love, purpose, and defying the odds in a world that often underestimates you. First, we'll share 10 key takeaways to spark your curiosity, then buckle up for a storytelling journey that'll leave you inspired. Let's get started. 10 key takeaways. 1. Foundational values shape success. Michelle and Craig were raised in a modest Chicago home where their parents instilled decency, hard work, and unconditional love, guiding their decisions even in high-stakes moments. 2. Race and resilience. Growing up during white flight, they faced prejudice but were taught race pride and empathy, learning to move through racism without bitterness. 3. Box checking versus purpose. Michelle's early life was about checking boxes, good grades, top schools, corporate law, until loss and meeting Barack Obama pushed her to pursue joy and impact. 4. The power of mentorship. Mentoring younger generations brought Michelle joy, leading her to pivot from law to public service, a theme echoed in her and Craig's podcast, IMO. 5. Love requires partnership. Michelle and Barack's marriage thrived through communication and renegotiation, especially during challenges like parenting and political life. 6. Infertility struggles are universal. Michelle's openness about miscarriages and IVF highlights the unspoken challenges women face, emphasizing the need for honest conversations. 7. Empathy over anger. Facing relentless public scrutiny as First Lady, Michelle leaned on empathy to understand detractors' fears, choosing hope over bitterness. 8. Family as a soft landing. Their mother, Marion, was a pillar of wisdom and love, grounding the family through White House pressures and beyond. 9. Setting boundaries takes practice. Michelle learned to say no and prioritize her peace, a lesson she now passes to her daughters. 10. Purpose over perfection. Life's friction, race, love, loss, isn't failure. It's part of the journey. Michelle urges us to keep mentoring and helping others. Imagine a tiny bungalow on Chicago's South Side, 7436 South Euclid Avenue, where the heart of a family beats strong despite the world's noise. It's the 1960s, and in this 700-square-foot home, Fraser and Marion Robinson are raising Michelle and Craig with a fierce, quiet love. The kitchen table isn't just for meals. It's a classroom, a sanctuary, a place where values are carved into young hearts. Decency, hard work, and the unshakable belief that no one is better than you, no matter their skin color. Michelle and Craig grow up in a world of contrasts. Their neighborhood, South Shore, is a patchwork of black, white, Mexican, and Korean families, where kids play together under the watchful eyes of neighbors like Miss Mason and the Mendozas. But then, like a storm sweeping through, white flight changes everything. White families vanish, fleeing at the sight of black families moving in, whispering fears of falling property values. Young Michelle feels the sting. They're running from us. Her father, Fraser, a city worker battling multiple sclerosis, never wavers. With his cane in hand, he coaches neighborhood kids, gives rides to basketball practice, and shows Michelle and Craig that racism is the ignorance of others, not a reflection of their worth. At that kitchen table, Marion teaches empathy. Put yourself in their shoes, she says, urging her kids to see the hurt behind prejudice. Fraser models loyalty, never taking a sick day despite his pain, proving that greatness lies in how you show up for others. These lessons become Michelle's armor as she navigates a world quick to underestimate a black girl from the South Side. By her 20s, Michelle is a box checker extraordinaire, top of her class, Princeton, Harvard Law, and a cushy job at Sidley and Austin with a shiny sob to match. But inside, she's restless. Why am I here? She wonders, staring out from her 47th floor office. Life shakes her awake with two devastating losses, her father's sudden death and her friend Suzanne's battle with lymphoma. Suzanne, the dreamer who lived boldly, shows Michelle what she's missing, purpose. Then enters Barack Obama, the ultimate swerver, a community organizer who defies the corporate path. He's late to their first meeting, soaked from the rain, but his brilliance and humor spark something. Michelle resists at first, even trying to set him up with friends, but a single date, art, a stroll, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing changes everything. She's falling, not just for Barack, but for a life driven by impact over accolades. The pivot comes at 27. Michelle leaves law, chasing joy and mentoring kids like those she grew up with. Bright, underestimated, deserving of a champion. She joins public service, guided by Valerie Jarrett, who sees her clarity and hires her on the spot. Barack, too, shuns big law firms, writing Dreams from My Father and working for the community. Together, they cobble together student loan payments, choosing purpose over profit, love over ease. But love, Michelle learns, isn't a straight line. Marriage brings friction, babies, careers, and unspoken sacrifices. Their IVF journey tests them, with Michelle bearing the shots, the hopes, the heartaches of miscarriages. She carries the weight, feeling like a failure in silence, while Barack slays his dragons. Counseling becomes their lifeline, teaching them to renegotiate, to see each other's burdens. When Barack announces his run for president, Michelle's heart sinks, not from doubt, but from fear. Death threats, scrutiny, raising kids in the White House. How will we survive? Yet she knows he's the leader the world needs. The White House years are a crucible. As the first black First Lady, Michelle faces a torrent of hate, called an angry black woman, mocked for her appearance, questioned down to her very identity. Craig, her protective brother, rages quietly, coaching himself to focus on their mission. Michelle leans on empathy, remembering her mother's words, "You never know what's going on in someone else's home." Marion, living in the White House, becomes their rock, mothering everyone from butlers to grandkids with her no-nonsense wisdom. Through it all, Michelle fights for her daughter's normalcy, ensuring Secret Service agents become familiar faces, not strangers with guns. When Marion passes in 2024, the grief is raw, but her love lingers. Michelle and Craig carry her legacy forward in their podcast, IMO, Mentoring a New Generation. Michelle's choice to skip Trump's inauguration is a turning point. She's done box checking, done pleasing others. At 61, she's owning her wisdom, urging her daughters and all of us to set boundaries, to say no with grace, to live for joy. As the podcast fades, Michelle's voice lingers. We're here for a reason other than making money or being famous. Maybe we can help somebody. From that tiny Chicago bungalow to the White House and beyond, Michelle and Craig remind us that life's friction, race, love, loss, isn't a detour. It's the path to purpose. What a journey. Michelle and Craig's story is a testament to resilience, love, and the courage to rewrite your path. If this episode moved you, hit that subscribe button on Podslice Hub. It's the easiest way to support us as we bring you more podcast-inspired audiobooks every week. Drop a comment. What's one lesson from Michelle's story you're taking into your life? Until next time, keep chasing your purpose, and we'll see you at the table.